because
Okay.
not everybody can be here, right? Okay, and I have this on mute. I kind of have it set up over here so I can see what you guys are seeing at the same time. Whoa. All right. So hopefully everybody got the link. I'm going to copy it one more time into the Zoom chat for the Nearpod. Paste. And then for those of you that maybe just joined a little later, the kind of one bummer about Zoom and Chromebooks is students can't click on the link in a Chromebook chat. They have to copy and paste it into a separate tab. Hi, Nicole.
Wait, can you say that again?
So on a Chromebook, if you put a link in the chat, they can't click on the chat link from a Chromebook. They have to copy and paste it into a new tab. So that's a very unfortunate hurdle with Chromebooks.
Okay, thank you.
So we have to do a little training on that, which for olders it won't be too bad, but for littles it might not be fun. Nicole, your hair is just darling. Love it. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna I put some features of Chromebook. Minimize. I don't wanna do that. I put some features of Nearpod to kind of help you see some of them along the way as a student. And get you going. Hi, Teresa. Okay, so we are actually, you know what, you guys, I already messed up. I already messed up, you guys. I apologize. What do we have to do? Give ourselves some grace, right? What I shared with you is the student version of the template. That first one, but I actually would like you to be in this other version.
You want us in the teacher version?
I'm going to put you in, oh dear, okay. You know, you practice something, you think it's gonna go fine, and then what happens? It doesn't go fine. Okay, I am going to give you a different link. I apologize. Can you grab that second link that says POULU at the end? Pretty please. Learning number one, be kind to yourself, right?
Mhm.
Okay, here we go. 9:09. So we're gonna roll through this as quick as possible. So I went to one PD. I did the Fresno Unified series of PDs. I don't know if anybody else was able to go to that, but they did a million things this summer. And there was one that just really was like, wow, okay, that made it feel so much more comfortable to have a flow. And so my goal is to kind of show you the flow they used. And you'll have to expand your mind. They used science, but you could use it for ELA or PE or anything. And it's a simple template. So we're going to get to that. But before we do that, we're going to go through kind of some ideas. Is anybody having trouble? Everybody see adapting in person to distance learning? Everybody got that? Holler at me if you don't have it. You're good? Okay, awesome. Thanks. All right, here we go. Nearpod lesson. So as the teacher, I'm just kind of scrolling through a set of slides here. So we're going to try to think through in-person lessons versus distance learning. Here we go. Okay, so here's our first feature. You can do a poll, time for a poll, and it's loading. You can put a timer on it. You see the little timer up in the corner there as a participant. I'm looking over at the Chromebook so I can see what you're seeing at the same time. There's a way you can split screen, but with Zoom and Nearpod. And so now I'm gonna start the activity. And so students will see this happening for them. So a couple simple questions. Excited, let's go for it. Or boy, I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm ready for the challenge. Again, just want you to see the features of it and show you kind of how the poll feature works in Nearpod. Obviously, you could use it for all kinds of things. And you just choose an answer, hit submit. And you can edit your answer there. And then what's cool is I have a red share button, and I can share with you all what the poll answers are in a little graph. A little bit nervous. Some people don't want to answer. This is pretty cool too. You have to kind of tell yourself what's your norm for answering. Are you going to go like 90% and you're going to move on, or
Right.
yeah, or how long do you want to wait, right? I want to show you another feature in Nearpod too while I thought about it. Obviously, I hope you have something to write notes down. Here is on the right hand side, there's a little notepad with a pen, a little pencil. And you can take notes as you go. So the student could take notes and save them in their Google Drive if they wanted to. You could do that as well. I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself, by the way. That was bad. I'm Cody. I work at Height and Natomas Middle.
Cody,
Yeah.
real quick, can you see who has not answered?
Yes.
So teacher could call out students and say, I'm still waiting for.
Waiting for you. Yep.
Okay.
So I can see, I don't want to call anybody out, but yeah, I can see people who have not answered. So it's like a little chart. I know there's no way I could show you the chart, but I promise I'll help walk folks through it. But there's a little chart that tells me who answered and who didn't. So it's pretty cool. And so that's how the poll works in the notes. So it's pretty cool, quick, easy. It's a very easy Nearpod add-on. And by the way, Nearpod, this is not a Nearpod training, but Nearpod is super easy. It just integrates with Google Slides really, really simply. So it's pretty safe. It's a pretty good tool. So okay, so we're gonna move on. So we're excited. Just a thought. this might be new to us. We did emergency remote learning, right? That's what we were doing before. So now we're trying to do the real thing, distance learning, but many of you are not new. Some of you are new. I know we have some new folks with us that are joining us. Latricia and Hillary, I know for sure. Christian is new with us in Natomas. But you can do this. We can totally do this. Technology is great, but we can get down to it. So positive thoughts, and we have all the tools and all the support and all the collaborative helps. All the collaborative help. Okay, so now here is another question. Now, obviously we have now 45 minutes together, and I'm sure you have a million questions. And I'm a IB coordinator, TOSA at Natomas Middle and Height. And I know that it's hard to find somebody to ask questions, and maybe your group is working and you're like, who should we ask? I don't know. But I would love to help support you guys. So here's a question that I'd like you to think about. So what is your biggest question or concern with the adaptation of your in-class learning to online? And try to be specific. I would love to help you. I'd love to help you. So I just love to have, I know it's great to have a thinking partner. So maybe type in something, and I know there's the technology and they're not going to show up and they're jumping around, all that kind of stuff, but try to hone into just like the lesson itself. What maybe are you concerned about? And you can type your answer in and hit submit. And same thing as before, I see a list of all of you, and I can see who's answered and who has not. Like right now I have 0 participation. And I also have a timer on there. So it can be quick, and I would definitely recommend, obviously we don't have a lot of time in our togetherness. So one really important thing is giving our scholars a quick time frame. So they have to do the work to get back to you, right? I see shaking heads. Yeah. So you got to give them a time frame. That way you'll get answers. And same thing, you can say, thank you, Corrine. I see Corrine has answered. I appreciate that. Greg, thanks so much. I see a response from Greg. Kristen, thank you. So I can kind of call out who has, we've got some questions about assessments. That's a great thing. Oh, great. Science activities. I'm totally understand that. Oh, an SDC class. Great. How the heck are we going to do that? How to deliver the lesson. Great. I can see Nicole, Derek. So I can see who's put the questions in. And then I also can, once the timer has stopped, I can share the ideas. Whoa. I'm going to do my little test one. Mine looks weird. I typed in a bunch and like, no, well, you can see what that looks like too. So I have 57% so far. Thank you, class. And I understand if you don't want to type something in. The other thing is with Nearpod. So this is a live session that I'm running, and I'm going to be able to save it and then go back and review all of the answers. So from a formative perspective, you can go back, say this was a question about key details in a text or something they learned about science or whatever. I can go back and look at everybody's responses to kind of see how people were doing. So here I can be, I'm going to share someone's answer. Should I design my lessons with expectations that kids will be logged in to class schedules? So I can share individual responses, which is kind of cool again. You could do a my favorite no, or you could do a response that you thought was a good response, or maybe something that you wanted to have a discussion about. Those things are all available to you. My own children just came home, so they're going to be running around in the background, which we all just have to get used to, right? So I can say, I can share another one, which probably is a safe one for a lot of people. I'm most concerned with group work. Do I use Google Slide? Do I use a Nearpod? What do I use? There's a lot of different options, and sometimes it's super overwhelming. So good questions. Okay, and I still know that I have a 78 participation rate. Okay, so we are going to go through just these topics today, and I'm going to be honest. I think I'm going to do something else on assessment. I learned some really cool tips, but I just don't think we're going to get there. So I promise you I'll do it again if you guys want to join on again to an assessment thing. So let's roll through some of these. So first and foremost, you guys, I know we want to get to the lesson plan part, but I can't even stress enough how important it is to take care of you. Take care of you first. Think of these 4 things in you. Maintain work-life balance. We're carrying adult trauma, right? This has been crazy. 5-6 months of who knows what. It's important that we model positive behaviors for our scholars. We're might be feeling nervous and overwhelmed. Try to make light of it with them because they're feeling very nervous and overwhelmed. We're showing them how to behave in unknown situations. So really, really think about that as you're working with kiddos. Be okay to make mistakes and say, hey guys, I'm making mistakes, I'm learning too, and smile about it. So that will ease them and also ease you. So I think that's important. Dedicated workspace, have a place in your home if you're working from home. What is the background of your video? Don't make it too crazy. I've seen some people on YouTube with I don't know, fireworks and all kinds of stuff. Don't be distracting. Just put something calm back there, right? I think on the routine, to me, this is so important. So when we go to school, right, we walk in the door and we're at school. We do our thing. We have our, we have our lunches and our breaks, and then we leave school. Of course, we all go home and do more stuff, but there's something about walking out of school that gives you that sort of mental end of the day, right? Now we're at home and I'm looking around and I see Tupperware that needs to be put away, and I know that there's laundry over there, but I'm still working and I don't know how to divide the 2 things, right? So a workspace and a beginning and end of your day routine, whatever yours is, maybe it's you get up and you go for a walk around the block, whatever your thing is, please do something for yourself. You've got to do something for yourself, okay? So I'm going to do another quick little poll. This is what you'd call an open-ended question. Can you think of a signal that you can give yourself to end your workday for your own darn sanity? Answer in the box. Something you could do. And if you could see, I'm able to put a little image there. Remember Mr. Rogers? Some of you are young. You won't remember. Mr. Rogers would come into the room and put his sweater on, change his shoes. That started the day. And then when the day was over, he changed his shoes and he walked out, right? What is your signal? Yes. Get up and go to CrossFit. An image. Very good. I'm going to do my little test here. Mine's going to be walk and head out. So I can start sharing. Oh, this is a good one. Set a timer and then another timer. Because sometimes we don't answer ourselves. Turn off the computer. Put it away. Lots of put away a computer, definitely. Taking a walk. All right, I'm gonna have to show this one. I'm about to pass out. It's time to be done. And when I need to eat, because you haven't eaten all day. That's a good one. Uh-oh, Christian, I love it. Christian's helping us with our Spanish. We have a new Spanish teacher at Natomas Middle. And he said something in Spanish. Christian, can you unmute yourself and tell us what you said?
So todo el mundo para su casa. That means punky and everyone goes home. Something like that.
Yeah.
Because it rhymes, because casa and calabaza rhymes.
Casa Calabasa. I like it. Very good. Yeah, lots of put your laptop away, close your computer, put the thing on your charger. A voice recorder of Mr. Rogers saying the day is over. Derek, I love it. That's awesome. Day is over. So again, I can see 68% participation and who's participated. So awesome. But take care of yourself, you guys. This is tough. Take care of yourself. Give yourself some time to just be back to a normal human and not a 24-hour-a-day teacher. Okay, so move on to a couple things I want you to think about, and I'm going to share the link to this whole slide to you at the end, so that, because I'd love for you to even think about using these things as a checklist for yourself. So your classroom management plan, and this is where you know how to be a teacher. You know this. You have to have procedures. I was in a class yesterday and we were talking about, it was 4th grade, and they're like, they line up by the cubbies to go out to recess. They have routines. When they come into the Zoom meeting, what is their routine? What is the thing you want them to do when they come in? If you're intentional about that, the Zoom will not be a crazy scene, right? It'll be, you want them to do X every time they come into the Zoom. Think that through. Those little routines that I think of a kinder class. They were, lining up and it was really hard. And then she got the letters and put them on the floor. What are you going to have kids do when they enter a Zoom and you're doing your morning meeting or whatnot? Be specific for yourself. Setting expectations and your behavior management plan. So here's another thing, like I had completely changed this and it didn't update. How about that? What is your behavior management going to be? So when you go through things and it doesn't work, like normally we have, a warning, then maybe they go to their timeout chair or the thinking desk or something, and then hopefully they don't get to the point where they're going to the office. But again, these same things have to be thought through. So make sure you're thinking through those same things. So we're gonna do some other thinking about scholars and what they want for their learning. So when you're going to set your norms with your scholars, we have to think about the stuff about, like, what should you learn about yourself as learners? How do you interact and maintain learning conditions with each other? Just like you would do in class if you're going to do group work or whatnot. Co-construct these with your students so that they have a very clear understanding of what the expectations are, and they've done them together, because that will be a good community builder as well. Again, just a checklist of things for you guys to think about. I know sometimes we have rules. Think of them as your agreements. I really like number 3, co-construct them with scholars. This is new for them too. They did that weird or remote emergency learning, or maybe they didn't at all. What is this? What is the little social contract going to be for your school, your classroom? Try to think of them positively rather than do not X or no X. What is it that you want them to do, not what you don't want them to do? So think about that. And then also, because again, they don't have that norm of going into school and putting on their scholar hat, you're going to have to review what your agreements are often, maybe every day for a while. Always start your day with a norming and a, hey guys, let's check out our agreements and remember what it is we agreed upon for our learning today. Is this still good for us, or do we need to make any updates or changes? So really think that through, because the more you can involve them as if they were in the 4 walls, the more they'll have ownership for this modality as well. So another couple thoughts. So I'm just gonna call it out. I'll have to learn this and help you guys with it. So I had made edits to my slide deck. I practiced this whole thing this morning, just full disclosure. Got up at 5:30 and did it all. And there were some things that I wasn't happy with. So I went to my slide deck and I fixed them. But I think there's something that you have to do to save it in Nearpod. So I'm going to write this down because it didn't save any of my edits. So I'll figure that out, I promise, and I'll tell you how to do it. Okay, so if you see typos, that's why it didn't save. All right, so we're going to do another little collaborate, and this one's a board. It's like a Post-it note board. So briefly share how you could possibly create classroom agreements with your students this year. And this is just sort of a thinking tool. So how could you possibly get them to think about what is important to them in their learning to create a good learning environment? So I did not put a timer on this one, but I'm going to recommend doing a timer. Double check your work, Cody. So I have a response I put out there. Oh, another feature. There's a feature in Nearpod when you do this one where you can approve them before they show up on the screen. So if you're a little like, I'm afraid they're gonna say weird things, I can approve it or disapprove it. So I'm going along a board at the bottom and there's a green check mark and a red check mark, and I'm approving them as they go. Boom, boom, boom. I'm looking for an approve all button. I don't see an approve all button, but when you set up this board, right when I went to the screen, it said, do you want to approve? And it could say yes or no. And I hit yes. I didn't mean to, but I hit yes. So now I'm approving. A lot of good thinking here. A lot of good thinking here. Okay, for fun, I'm going to disapprove one. Dana, I'm going to disapprove yours, and I'm curious to know what happens on your side. And we could share with our friends. Visual, I like it. So now, if you scroll, you should be able to see, if you scroll up and down, you can see all of the things. Dana, when I disapproved yours, what happened?
Nothing. Nothing happened from my side.
Nothing. So I guess if the student doesn't see theirs, they're going to have to re-input their response.
But I didn't even get a message that you disapprove mine.
It didn't say disapprove? Okay. So
Not yet.
Yeah.
Let me check again. Yeah.
I like
I
that,
did
Nicole. Yeah. Okay, so that's good to know. Okay, so now we have a whole bunch of agreements. Now my dog is gonna break down the door to go outside. All right, so essential agreements. Now moving on to some technical things. Keep it simple. Have a routine every day. Have the same thing. Teacher scholars the signals. You know, in classroom we do, you know, class, yes, yes, or 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. Use all those things. Use all those things you've always done before. Decide what your protocols are going to be so that they know them. And those familiar things will make them feel comfortable too, because they'll be like, oh, I know this. The more of those things that you can set and stick with as you go through and meet them, it easier will be for them. So how will your scholars retrieve, submit, etc.? Families, I'm sure many of you have kids. We got to keep it simple, because I know I was confused and I didn't know how to help my kids. And I'm a teacher, so we got to remember that we got to keep it simple for families as well. We don't have to do fancy bells and whistles all the time. Okay, don't stress yourself out on that. Okay, I'm going to do another quick collaborate board, and this time I'm not going to have to approve them. Okay, so what is the learning management system that you're going to use and your primary method for communicating with families? So are you using Google Classroom and Infinite Campus email? Are you using, like, what are you going to be using? And I'm going to let the dog out so she doesn't bust down the door. Go ahead. It's pretty smoky out there. Oh, I don't know. It's pretty smoky. Grace. Give yourself grace and patience. Dojo, Google Classroom, Infinite Class. Yep, Google and IC. Google Classroom, IC, maybe Dojo. I like it. Dojo, Classroom, Dojo, Classroom, Dojo. You know what's cool about this too, you guys? We got to think about the continuum of student learning. A lot of middle and high school uses Google Classroom. The sooner we can start to get them friendly with it, the better. I see a lot of Google Classroom. So that's great, because the sooner kids know how to use it, the better, right? Classroom Dojo. Classroom Dojo. Very good. Okay. So we've thought that through. Awesome. Okay. My final thought on, like, the prep, if you will, as we move into this is, you know, normally we get to kind of see them and make, like, contact. I mean, obviously we're not touching them, but you get to say, hey, like, Johnny, how was your basketball game this weekend? Or, you know, those little things that make connections with our kids. So as you're going through this, think about, how are you going to get to know your students? How are you going to talk to them individually? Like, Christian, hey, I'm so glad you're with us at Natomas Middle. I cannot wait for our Spanish team it's going to be so awesome. I can't wait to hear about life in Colombia, because I've never been. So I learned a little something about Christian, and I want to make a connection with him and what's going on in his life. Hillary, my other new friend at Natomas Middle, is a windsurfer. Can't wait to hear about windsurfing. We talked a little bit about boarding versus windsurfing. Our kids need to, you know, remember we are often the person in their life that's the consistent, the person in their life that they know is always at school. And those little connections mean a lot to them. So think about how you're going to be able to try to get to know people in this environment, and then keep those connections up. Again, this whole social emotional part is going to be really critical through the beginning of the learning. Okay, how we doing? Everybody okay? Thumbs up? Thumbs up? Thank you. I like that. Thanks, guys. Okay. Hi. Okay. Okay, so here's a little checklist. And again, I edited this and I really liked my other checklist better, but I have a plan, I have a plan, I have a plan, I have a plan. That's the bottom line, right? Routines, norms, getting to know my kids. What are my plans? Take the time to think that stuff through. So when you are starting with them, those basics are thought through. All right. Now, we're going to move on to instruction. Now, so Achieve the Core has done some work on, they did research on the Katrina hurricanes and when kids were out of school. And some schools kind of went, uh-oh, we got to go backwards to when they got out of school and catch them up before we put them in 5th grade content. I'll just use that as an example. So they did a lot of research. So just this summer, just in July, they researched that, they found out where kids were at, and they sort of modified the instructional priorities. Now you should be able to click on the link underlined under priorities. Hopefully that works. And it was this big, long, horrible 111-page document, and I barely liked looking at it, and I geek out of this stuff. But so I kind of tried to break it up by grade level. So let me just sort of explain. Hopefully you're in it. On the left side is the focus standards. We've all heard of focus standards. And on the right side is a little more detail on those in particular standards. Now I know I've got science folks and Spanish and all different kinds of folks on here, but really think about the math and ELA skills, right, that we can integrate into our instruction that possibly our scholars might need more support with. So I'm going to show you the Nearpod here. So in the upper left, the upper corner on the left is what the focus standards look like. And I just happened to grab 1st grade here just randomly. So the green, anything in that green are the things that are really, really important. Yellow is like additional, like they're, you know, not 100% necessary right now. And then the supporting clusters are things that we need to move forward. And then on the right side of that document, the links are to what this green one, the lower right-hand corner looks like. And it's interesting, like for example, in 1st grade, eliminate lessons devoted to telling and writing time to the hour-and-a-half hour. They're like, that's not highly important. So my point is you're gonna wanna shed some things because you're gonna only have so much time and you're gonna need to get deeper into other things. This document is sort of guiding you to what's gonna be most important for that student as they go to the next grade, okay? And in addition, if it were me, I would be looking at, if I'm a 2nd grade teacher, I might go back and look at 1st grade and then look at 3rd grade, because I might notice that there's something missing on that 1st grade priority list. Those would be the things I might want to reteach or go back to if I have to, or if I see some struggles, it might be because one of those things didn't get hit because it was April and the kid didn't ever come. You know what I mean? Like, so this is kind of a nice tool, very simple to kind of guide you in your work in, you know, how am I going to get everybody where they need to go? So here is another sort of best practice idea for you. What I'd like you to do is, this is kind of a moment of silence, if you will, or think time. So you're going to turn off your video and take just 5 minutes to look at your grade level and then post something you notice that's interesting to you about your particular grade level on either one. Now, if you're science or social studies or whomever, I'll let you choose. I would recommend looking at the ELA ones, probably the standards, and like Christian and Spanish, probably looking at ELA, the English Language Arts, because that'd be like, you know, PE, I would say look at both maybe, but again, we have to all be working together to strengthen math and literacy skills for our students. Especially at the middle school level, when the ELA teacher and the math teacher did 50 minutes, 25 minutes, never going to do it. We all have to help out. So go ahead and turn off your video, and at 9:40, well, let's see, 44, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that's good. 49, we're going to come back. You can turn off your video if you'd like and just think and read. Holler at me if you have a question.
Cody, I joined late and I can't see what you're sharing. Hello.
Oh, okay. So let me put it back in the chat.
Oh, okay. Somebody else did.
Oh, perfect.
Thank you.
Earpod. Yeah, you're welcome. I'm going to send this to you all. I'm going to send this to everybody too, just the slides. So you have all the links and stuff. I was just trying to model the Nearpod thing. I'm going to answer some of these questions. Okay. No problem. Yep, I'll share everything. Yes. Looking at some, yes. Great. Mm-hmm.
Dog wants back in. It's too hot out there.
I know, she needs to come in. It's so smoky. She loves to be outside. Hillary, your instructional priorities will be, we're going to mostly focus on ELA for you. Kind of how we talked about explanatory text and those kinds of things. So I would look at like 8th grade. Nearpod is single sign-on. Hmm. I'm going to put a link to the priorities. in the box. If you weren't able to, I guess you had to, you can't grab them. And the second link is the actual slide deck with the checklists and a whole bunch of links to lesson plan ideas. Okay, so it's been 5 minutes. So hopefully, if you're still with me, you can, I would probably signal students to turn their screens back on and have them get back together. And then you can look and see if there are any notes on the screen. And we've got some ideas here. I know there's like not enough time to look at it, but you get the idea. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna move on because of course, my timing didn't go like I wanted it to. Okay, so lesson planning, here we go. If you can set that, I know that's like, if you're nerdy like me and like those standard type documents are good. So, okay, here's the bottom line. When you're thinking about your lessons, no matter what you're doing, I would advise you look at it in like 5 phases. And there's a million vocabulary words that we use in education. It depends on your context. So Go Math uses engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. If you're an IB school, we have a lot of IB schools, we use the inquiry cycle from Kath Murdoch, tuning in, finding out, sorting out. It doesn't really matter what language you're going to use, but you want to make sure that all of your lessons include everything. And I think that's probably one of the hardest things that's going to be in distance learning, is to remind ourselves that we just have to keep doing the good teaching that we do. And so if you think through your lessons and you're sure that you're using all 5 phases, no matter what you call them, and I would say call them the same every time, whatever you're using, so students have that consistency, it will again help them as well. So I'm going to take you through just again some other ideas. Clarity is going to be really important, and I think that instructional document is helpful to help you decide what's the learning target for that particular lesson, and how do students know when they know. That's a look for. It's the success criteria. So they have to know the learning target and they have to know the look for. Okay, so here is a little lesson plan example. Now, this was a problem when I was practicing it. So I am going to, I'm gonna do something a little different here. I'm actually gonna share my screen and show you this example that I have here so you can see it. But you will have a link to it. You will have a link to it on the slide deck that I shared. Go away, there we go. Okay, so here is a sample, and I put in a blank one. Okay, I put a blank document in here. This is just one. I did not make this. The gal at Fresno made it, and I thought it was really good. So this was one of the things I really wanted to share with you. So this is a slide deck which you can use with Nearpod as well. I didn't put any Nearpod features in it. for the purposes of this. Can everybody see my screen? Yes, thumbs up. Make it bigger. Okay. So the foundations of this are there. Thank you for the thumbs up, Gianna, or that's Raina, Gianna, on Gianna's computer. So here's the foundations. And remember, this could be math, fraction, multiplying fractions. It could be key details. It could be immigration. It could be Spanish pronouns. I don't know, whatever it is that you are trying to teach. Okay, so you have your learning target. So here you have your engage. This just happens to be on properties of matter. So insert a video or a picture or a photo, something to get kids interested in whatever it is you're talking about. What do you notice? What do you wonder? It could be a math problem, anything that you're doing with them. There's a few links here. There's a digital notebook. I gotta move all these, like, I got all your people there. There's a digital notebook that is also with this, and this is the blank. Again, we can totally adapt this for any subject area. It doesn't have to say science notebook. It could say math notebook. But students can go in and type in, oh, he's dribbling. I wrote drilling. He's dribbling really fast. I wonder if he's practiced a lot. They can go back and do it. And you can see, like, what I did here is, this was not on hers, but page 1 in your notebook here. And if they have their digital notebook, they can type this stuff in their digital notebook. Page 1. Or you could not do the notebook and just do Nearpod add-ons like we were doing together and save it. So you could do just the Post-it notes or the collaborate, whatever. What do you notice? But we have to engage our students. I always like engage and then tell the students what we're learning, because they're already kind of into it. They have like a context now. So he's dribbling that ball because it's hard and round and he's be able to, and we're learning about different kinds of matter of different properties. Okay, so look for, this is page 2 of the notebook. So if I go to page 2, I really like it when students put in their learning target or say it out loud, and they're looked for and say it out loud. I know me, if I explain something, I learn it a lot better. Kids are likely the same way. Okay, so that's your engage phase. Remember our little chart. Now explore. How are kids gonna like start to learn or do something with this? And I remember there was a science, Derek, I think you were asking about, was it Derek was asking about science? Think about what's in their home already. So this is just a great example about, we're gonna do properties, right? So go look for stuff in your house and come back so that we can talk about the properties of something. This could be, I was thinking of math cubes, or if you don't have manipulatives and things like that. I'm staring at a bucket of peanut butter pretzels. Go get 10 of something in your house and then come back, because we're gonna work with 1s and 10s. If you're looking at, something from ELA, like we're doing a hunt for key details or something, like think about the context that they can use. Go grab your favorite book in your room and come back so we can talk about key details. Everything we're teaching them should have something to do with real life. So why are we learning that, and how can it be represented in real life? So what can they use? So here's some features of the Explore content. They're grouping these objects. Obviously this is very specific, and it relates right back to the digital notebook. They're grouping. I'm going a little fast, I know, but you guys are smart teachers. But so here we go. These are all the Explore, putting them in order. It could be, how did you solve the problem? Who solved it this way? Who solved it that way? Key details, who found this? Who found that? Easily adaptable to whatever area you're working for. You can add in the text that gives them more information about whatever topic you're working on. If you're doing an actual topic or reading an actual book, you can put the story or an excerpt in there. And then again, if you had a Nearpod add-on to this, you could add in, what do you think the key detail is in this paragraph? And they could type it in. But you can add in more information. So we're still exploring the ideas. We're describing. Now here is some explaining. So this might be where you're maybe doing some direct instruction, something small. I forgot to point out, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna go back to this one. So there's a way you can add in little voice directions. It's so easy, and I can show
Walk
you how to
around
do
your
it.
house and gather 8 small objects. Smaller objects are definitely the easiest. Make sure that the objects are different from each other, and you need 8. If you don't know what to collect, here's a few ideas. A small toy, pens or pencils, forks, a piece of notebook paper, or maybe a paper towel.
Okay, you get it. So as I was looking at this simple plan, what I really liked about it is you can decide what's synchronous and what's asynchronous, right? So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, so I might do number 1 with my students, right? That might be all the time I have. And then maybe they do some exploration on their own. That's asynchronous. And I give them some directions, voice directions. And then the next day we come back and we do the reading together, or we do the key details. So you can kind of weave in and out of this synchronously and asynchronously, however it flows. And maybe it doesn't go like you planned, and you're like, okay, great, this is going to be asynchronous now. I'm going to add that for your learning time later. Explain is kind of that direct instruction. Again, you could add a voice or video or something to this where you're doing your direct instruction. They asked them to create a little riddle here, something to engage, learn more. They have to teach their classmate, create a riddle and see if your classmate can guess it. I like in math, create a new math problem and see if your classmate can solve that math problem, a little deeper learning. And then finally checking in. So what's your formative going to be? And if you look at the digital notebook, they happen to have a graphic organizer here, a double bubble thinking map to describe the 2 different properties of a cotton ball and a basketball to see if they learned it. So in the slide deck that I shared with you at the very end, I put a blank one of these here. And then also, so a way that you can just sort of, like we could just start with a shell, loading and loading. And maybe this could be something that you want to work through. I didn't fill too much in because I don't know how you like it. You can add slides. There's another slide template that I saw that I really liked too. Maybe this would be good. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This is what our week is going to look like. You can make a copy and it's got a whole slew of slide deck ideas. So there's a few things down here. The other slides in here kind of help give you some ideas on, so in the engage phase 1, what are some tools? I know some people were like, what technology do I use? So if you're going to do an engage, or what do you think, what do you wonder? It could be a Google Classroom discussion. You could use Mentimeter, which is super cool. Jamboard has been opened as a Google Suite app for all of our students. I like Padlet, but you got to spend more money to use Padlet if you want to do more than one. So I added in here like what this would look like and things that you would want to possibly use for this phase of your lesson plan as you go through here. So just a bunch of ideas to keep you organized. And then resources here at the end. This one has a lot of resources similar to the other one and how to build the lesson design. So I know it's 10:06 and many of you probably have something else to do. There's never enough time and nothing ever goes as you planned, right? Are there any questions in the chat? Awesome. Thanks for the templates. You're welcome. Now, probably what I would do at the end of the lesson, which again is on the one the new one, is ask the students, what did you learn? What was your learning target? Did you feel like you got something? So in the chat box, could you tell me one thing, maybe two things that you thought, okay, that was helpful, or did I hopefully not waste your entire hour? Share in your chat box with me, if you're still with me, one or two things that was helpful. Okay, maybe I need to open something up. I'm going to make sure everything has access. Anyone in Natomas should be able to view this one. Okay. Share. And, oh, I gotta fix this one. Anyone in Thomas can view. Done. Good. Yep. Routines. Agreed. Let me see. This one, everybody should have been able to get in. I got to figure out the Nearpod problem because I edited a whole bunch and it did not take. I got to figure that problem out. Change. That one should work. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thanks, Robert. And this notebook's kind of cool. We could go in and just sort of change the names if you'd like. If you want to keep the template, we could adjust what you'd like this to say and add things in. There's some tricks to freezing the screen except the text box too. So I can help with that as well. Good. And I know there's a lot of Nearpod stuff. I can't even express enough that I would love for you to reach out and holler at me if you'd like me to help you, because I really enjoy it. I'm Cody Worrell, just in case you didn't know. Yeah, keep it simple, guys. Keep it simple. Email me if you're like, walk me through this again. How can I adapt it? Totally available. Would love to help anybody work through it. So thank you guys very much. I know that was super fast and you got to roll with it. That's another lesson. You got to roll with it because sometimes it's not going to go exactly like you expected. And that's okay. We gave ourselves some grace. You guys are awesome. You can do it. Take care of you. Take care of you. Take care of you first. Take care of you. I can't even express that enough. And we'll all get through this together, right? We'll all get through this together. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. Keep it simple, folks. Find something and stick with it. And you're going to be amazing. So thank you, guys. Holler at me. Bye, Sarah. Bye, friends. Yes.
Thank you, Cody. I just wanted to get your take on something real quick.
Yes, absolutely.
You have a moment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Robert, hi. Okay. I gotta wait for the screen to show up on who's talking.
Here, I'll put my video on there
That's
too.
okay. Hi.
So I teach fourth grade and I'm at Natomas Park, and my school handed out a bunch of physical resources like the Wonders textbooks, the Science Weekly newspapers, the Wonders workbooks, all that stuff. And one thing that I'm a little concerned about and not quite sure how to handle is the balance between physical and digital resources. And I want to make sure that I kind of tap into students' comfort levels. Some students might like doing everything on the computer. I think personally it's a bit much. All the Wonders is on there digitally. You can have kids do all the workbook things, like if you're teaching a little grammar mini lesson and then they you finish with a workbook page to reinforce and have do a few together, and then they do some and then you correct and discuss. And I love Nearpod for the engage, taking little CFUs and things like that. But they have all these physical books that were passed out. And I think that's maybe good for some kids to actually use a paper and pencil too. Any thoughts on really, hitting the balance there between the digital and the physical while we're on Zoom?
Yeah, it's a great conundrum for sure. I think, there's a plus and a minus to having so many resources, because it's like, I kind of did the refresher on Wonders yesterday, because we don't use a lot of Wonders at our school, but I was like, oh my gosh, it can be so overwhelming. And so like Wonders is so fragmented, right? Okay, we're going to do 5 minutes of this and 6 minutes of that and da da da.
And you only have about an hour,
Right. So how are you going to do that? So,
and then an hour for the other stuff that has to be done in MLU. So it is a condensed and prioritized, but
I think that maybe I might consider going back to like a learning menu kind of thing, where you tell families, because there's those kids that are like gonna want to be working in their workbook, like, I can do more work, right? I want to keep going. I'm going to finish the whole darn thing, right? But maybe you have a menu that's like, you use your physical grammar book and complete 5 pages in unit 2.
Well, there's certainly more there than you can possibly use. But let's say, for example, you're teaching a little grammar lesson, and you use the Nearpod for an engage, and you teach a little bit about it, get them discussing it, and then maybe you're going to use one of the Wonders grammar pages to teach that concept. Now, would you always do it online? Would you assign the physical? Would you sometimes assign one and sometimes the other, and then maybe later give them a choice of how they want to do it? Or
let me ask you this. In 3rd grade, do you know if your friends in 3rd grade used the physical book when they were 3rd graders?
Yes, but of course, when we went to emergency distance learning, it became more of a menu and, that kind of thing. But in class, sure.
Maybe consider, I like routine and I like them feeling, I know how to do this, right? So maybe consider the beginning, you're doing, just like you said, okay, go practice in page 14 in your practice book on pen and paper, right? Because they know that's comfortable for them. Tell their route. I'm kind of seeing this as start simple, and once routines are set, then add in a Jamboard, right? Because if you add in that Jamboard right at the beginning and they're like, where do I click and what are you doing? And I don't know. And we don't have norms and we don't have procedures, and everything is uncomfortable. If your site has already used those materials in the grade prior, maybe consider just doing that for a while. Till the routine is set, right?
slowly introduce the
And
technique.
then slowly introduce and say, hey guys, okay, this time, instead of that grammar page, we're going to do contractions on a Jamboard. I'm going to give you 2 words and I want you to put it into the correct contraction form, right? So I guess my advice is keep it to what they probably already knew before. If like they didn't have a lot of the materials, right? Like that was sort of weird too. Like some kids brought their grammar book home and some didn't, and some had this and some didn't. So if they have the materials and it's something that a previous grade used, keep it simple for a little bit. That's, I think, going to be my advice.
Okay.
Then add in, once your norms are going and they're like, oh, grammar pages, okay, I got that. Then you can be like, okay, great. We're going to try something new, right? And we're going to spice it up a little. Then add in something. Does that,
seems like
what do you
some
think
kids are-
about that?
Yeah, more comfortable with the technological aspect, and it's a lot of screen time, and you could have them do all this online, but gosh,
Well,
that's
there's something to be said about pen and paper, and there's something to be said about, you know, that routine that they're used to, right?
yeah.
I think in my mind, I keep thinking like, what did my kid do before, right? I know like in our fourth grade team at Height doesn't use like any grammar pages from Wonders. So for the 5th grade team to suddenly say, okay, we're going to use these grammar pages, they'd be like, what? We've never done that before. Why are we using these? You know, that would be weird, right? That's why I was kind of saying like it'd be cool if we all were using Google Classroom in some form or another, because then they get more used to it, right? Whether it's just basics or not. But I think there's a balance between overloading the technology and good God, you know, Bitmoji classrooms and, you know, videos where you're dancing around. And I mean, you could really go bonkers. And I think we have to keep it really simple, I think.
And balance.
And balanced, yeah. I think just finding a routine, like you just said, we're doing our grammar lesson and da 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 da. And then as you go, you know, I bet once your routines are set and your norms and you're maybe 7-8 days into it, you're going to be like, okay, I think they're technologically, they got it. Maybe I can add in one thing, right? And then see how that goes. Go with that for a little while. Like I was building this and I could put a Mentimeter in there and I could put a Jamboard and I could put a and I'm like, that's crazy. Like, I mean, nobody wants to deal with all those things at once.
Yeah.
They're fun and they like make us maybe excited if we're technological, you know, interested, but sometimes it's too much.
Well, and I guess too, like if you were conducting this training and you had sent home to all of us as participants physical curriculum for this course,
yeah,
and never used it,
that would be weird too. Right. Yeah. Right. That would be weird too. So I think like for us, if you sent it home, and you know, we don't use every page in those books, for goodness sakes, but you can find the ones that you think are most valid. And I think, again, it couldn't be any more important to know specifically the most important things you want them to know, right? And that's where I think of like Wonders or Go Math. There's just so much. Yeah. Shed.
Yeah, prioritize.
Shed is the word of the year. You got to shed. And maybe the technology too. Shed the technology. Don't get over. Some teacher told me yesterday she saved like 200 Bitmoji classrooms. I'm like, what? That's insane. Don't go down that rabbit hole. I mean, I have one too, and it was fun. But then I'm like, you know, just keep it simple. Get a routine that you're comfortable with, that you get them comfortable with, and then decide, okay, maybe I'll add something in once you know how versed they are and what challenges you're going to have to overcome. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Thank you. I see other people on here, though. Maybe they have some questions too.
Or maybe they're just wondering, what anybody else
Yeah,
might
what
be
the answer was. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Kate.
absolutely. Please, I'm totally available to help you guys. I would love to. I'm just a safe thinking partner. So if you need anything, holler out.
Are you a teacher or TOSA or
I'm
what
a
are-
TOSA at Height and Natomas Middle. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But I know there's like not, I mean, it's you're like, who do I call? There's nobody, and you
Right.
guys are maybe having a discussion and as a group and you're like, God, I don't know, I wonder. Please always, I'm happy to help.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care. Hi, Tiffany. Thank you. Science, Dana, Christian, if you're still there. Thanks. Norma. Hi, Norma. I never saw your face. Okay.